Well, hello and welcome back to the Certified Jordan channel. Welcome viewers. As you can see, my garage is again an absolute mess. And it looks like this because we are doing fork seals. We have a lot of work to do. 2 bikes of fork seals we need to replace, the KTM Duke 390 as well as the CBR600-RR. And then I have some small pieces here that I've already modified. This is a fuel pipe for my Intruder 1400, but it's quite a funny setup with the petcocks where they point forward, but the pipe needs to go back to the carburetor. So what happens is if you put the pipe over the petcock, it keeps on pinching closed. So I got some 8mm brake line and I shoved it in here, smeared it with Vaseline and shoved it in here, and then I used a pipe bender to bend this. So this is a rock hard bend and it cannot pinch closed. That's just one of the small things that I've done. But yeah, it's a lot of small projects going on. I'm going to take you in for these forks on the CBR, and then we'll talk about them briefly. Now, we've been talking about these forks on the CBR600-RR, and what I've done is I used a fork saver to try and clean the fork seals in order for me not to have to replace them. But needless to say, that didn't work. In this video, we're going to replace this fork seals. I'm going to fill it up according to the manual with 413 milliliters of oil and 93 millimeters from top. There's a special tool for that with like a hard plastic straw. You measure the straw length, you shove it in here, and then you suction out whatever is above 93 millimeter. But then after that, there's going to be some paint work involved here. Let me see if you can see this on camera. Yeah, like these where the triple trees, the bottom triple tree, and here you can see where the top triple tree grabs it. I want to take this paint off, clean it up nicely, and then I'm going to do this in a gold, and I'm going to do the bottom section in the silver, which will then go together with the silver calipers and the red logo of the caliper on it as well. Most probably I'll do this in a separate video, but I think we need to get started with these fork seal replacements. The first thing you want to do, you want to get this dust cap off without scratching this fork leg. You scratch this fork leg, it's just going to eat up the new seal inside. So it's this one, then there's a circlip, and then the seal. So the seal is sitting more or less at this section of the fork. There you go, it's loose. And you know what I think I'm going to do now? Now let's take out the circlip. For this I need a very small flathead screwdriver. And then I just need to hook this circlip. What I usually do is I hook it. If it goes and plays nicely, I hook it, and then I just gently feeds it out, because you don't want to get anywhere close to this fork tube. Now with this, if you pull this out, you're going to make 2 deep scratches inside of this fork leg. So you just do that and leave it there. Okay, at the bottom of the fork, yeah, this bolt goes in here. It's like a banjo bolt. It goes in here from the bottom, and it seals all the oil in. So I've already taken this out, already drained the oil in this fork. To get this out, you're going to waste your time if you use anything else but an impact driver. So here's my impact driver. That's how you get those out. Okay, so now we need to take the stop cap off. This is a 24 millimeter. Always do yourself a favor and loosen this up. The first thing you do when you need to replace forks is you loosen the top triple tree and you loosen these two nuts. Just crack it loose. Because if that thing is loose and the bottom one is loose, the top one basically keeps this bolt in as well. So if you lose the bottom one, if you loosen this one up, there is no way you're going to hold this fork in a vise without damaging it to remove this cap. Let me just see, I'm almost sure some oil is going to come out of here. Oh no, this is going to be an oily mess. Guys, please excuse me, but you can't see this on camera. But I just want to try and... Fork seals, guys, is a dirty job. Know it, make peace with it, because that's just the way it is. That's why I want to do both these bikes' fork seals in one go. Because I honestly don't want to do this again. Make a hell of a mess in your garage once and get it over and done with. Okay, so now that is all out, this should just be a matter of making a big mess. There you go, it's out. There's the seal in question. This one is dead. It leaks so much oil. It's actually something of nightmares. But now, here comes the tricky part. What you want to do, you want to make sure that this section is nice and clean. Okay. Then what I do, I'll get myself a piece of toilet paper, put it down somewhere on my bench, if I can find somewhere that is not too dirty. And then you'll see in this bushing is a slit. You're going to put your fingernails in that slit and you're going to slide this bushing off of this forked leg. There's the first one. Okay, this one should be loose. There's the second one. Yeah, down, down, down. Now let me show you this, guys. Do you see these lips? And if I feel it with my finger, this is a very, very sharp edge. Now if you take a new fork seal and you shove it over that edge, you've already broken your seal. It's actually quite a push to get them off of there. But this seal is bushed. So I'm going to show you the way that I overcome this issue that we have right here. All right. On the bottom section, my steel clip and my dust seal is still there. No need to move those, just leave them there. All right. So what I'll do, I'll use a bit of masking tape just to try and fill this void. Not thick, just one layer all around. Remember guys, these fork seals are actually quite tight. Let me just quickly get those fork seals.
Friends, I'm just pausing the video here. A piece of my footage got lost here. I don't know how, don't ask me how, but it went missing. So what happened here in this section that went missing is, I've actually, you saw me putting the piece of masking tape over that edge on the fork leg. Then what I've done is, on the fork tube. Then what I've done is, I've put a condom over that entire section. You can see in this image, there's a condom there, and then I used the condom to lubricate the surface, and then I slide the seal over the condom, and that protects the seal from getting damaged and also makes the installation process just so much easier. So sorry about that. I really wanted to show you that. My gardener has asked me maybe 20 times, why do I have condoms in the garage? And I showed him why.
So it went over so nicely. And now, if you come to the end of your condom, you can just take this ribbed section, tear it off, take it up over the edge, take your seal down and take your condom off. There's your seal installed. Now all that's left to do is to get this masking tape off. Right, that seal is installed. We are still not done with the installation process. There's a lot of cleaning and things that still needs to happen here, but this is where I'm going to end the video on the CBR folks. On the Duke folks, we'll do a full video, and then you'll see me doing those ones. I've done a couple of the Duke 390 folks. They're most probably the easiest folks that you'll do in your life. It's you don't need condoms, you don't need nothing. It's the most easiest thing. They chafe it here on the top so it doesn't eat the seal. It's a fantastic bike to do the fork seals, and it's still a mess, but it's actually quite easy to do. So I'm going to finish these off camera, and then for the Duke folks we'll do an in-depth video, which is going to follow right now. Okay, so the video continues with the KTM Duke 390 forks. As you can see, this is a original KTM fork seal kit. It comes with the dust caps or the dust covers, the fork seals, as well as the internal bushings. Very nice. These fork seals, just look at that absolute horrendous mess. These fork seals are history. They done completely. This one has no oil in it anymore whatsoever. Okay, so guys, let me just see what you can see. Maybe let me lift my camera up a bit. Right. Okay. Luckily, as mentioned before, I remember to loosen these caps. You can see they're slightly loosened before I completely took apart that motorcycle. This is a 22, and these things gets damaged very easily. So let me show you a little trick. I think after COVID, all of us has masks that we can dispose of. So I use these masks to help me to keep these things from scratching. Alright, there you can see it's loose. Okay, there's still oil in it. I'm just going to dump the oil. That's not a lot of oil. Not a lot of oil at all. Maybe I'll take a guess and say that this was maybe maybe 60 milliliters of oil, and it is extremely thin. I've never seen fork oil this thin. And just to mention that these Duke 390s, I've done a couple of fork seals on these oaks, so I do see myself as somebody that knows what I'm talking about when I talk about the Duke 390. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this oil container on my desk, on my workbench here, so that you can see the amount of oil in the first place that comes out of this fork, and in the second place, how thin this oil actually is. There is a bit of an airlock here in the top cap, so that means that there still is oil in there. Let me see if you can see this oil. Let me move it up a bit. Look at this. That is the entire amount of oil in this fork. Now these forks, if I'm not very much mistaken, takes around 400 milliliters of oil. 413 milliliters to be exact. If I'm not mistaken, I do have a manual. I'll double check that. Always need to double check that. All right. So as I mentioned before, this is a messy job, guys. Know that beforehand. It is a messy job. Okay, let me show you this now. I need to hold that, the 19 millimeter. I need to hold that with a spanner whilst I'm turning the top cap to get the top cap off of this internal stem here. All right. If I can get that off, then I can move this out of the way to replace these. This is an old style of dust seal. I'm not sure if this specific fork actually has one of these old or one of these new dust seals inside. We'll see. If it does, 2 is better than 1, so I suppose I'll just put it back. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see this. I have soft jaws here in my vise, and I'm clamping where the axle goes through the bottom piece of the fork. Okay, this will just take a minute. Just going to quickly pull this off. Alright, and my socket I'll put here, get my ratchet. Let's get this mask, protect the top cap as much as possible. We don't want any damage here. It's loose. Okay, let me bring it back to the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this just spins off. I'm going to take this one off as well. Just look at this mess from the bottom part of this fork here. Then there's two pieces of black rubber here inside this fork. Just look at how thin this oil is, eh? Just look at that. Oh, this is a mess. Told you it's gonna be a mess. And I was not mistaken. This one's first, then that one. Oh, now it's coming out properly. This is not the fork which had so little oil, the one that I showed you. That will be the other one. And guys, the mess I'm making here is specifically to show you what's happening here. I could have always just not do this, but I wanted you to see what's happening. All right. So I'm on the mess. It's here for you, for your viewing pleasure, and for me to clean up afterwards. All right. So now, Jesus is a mess, because I just need to try and clean my hands to some extent. Oh. Okay. Now we can't just go and pull on this. We can do that. That's the beauty of this, of these specific forks. As I mentioned to you earlier, they're most probably the easiest forks that you will ever do in your life. Okay. So here's the dust gap. Yeah, it does have an internal one as well. Okay, let me you know what? Let me do it the proper way, not to damage anything. And use a plastic tool to take this out. There's just a little spring thingy. No, I wanted to use this, but that's not going to work. It's just too stiff in there. There it comes. That's out. And then I'm going to use this very small little screwdriver of mine. Let me just first try and clean a bit of this off. These forks has been leaking for a long time. And I know because this bike is my son's friend's bike. So I see this bike frequently. Here's the circlip that holds the seal in place. Very dirty. Clean all of this up nicely. Then let's get this. I'm not worried to damage the seal because I am actually replacing it. Maybe let me just get a screwdriver with a bit more oomph. There you go. That's out. And the bushing is this washer. I see I did not get that. Now this bushing is chamfered, so the narrowest side goes to the bottom. And then let's see if we can get this bushing out. Now this bushing should have a slit in it. Yes, it does. I don't think this is going to be the easiest thing in the world to remove. Okay guys, I'm going to get my bushing puller here. So we'll return to the video as soon as this bushing is out and the new one's installed. Alright guys, the new bushing is installed. I'm sorry I couldn't show this to you, but it's at my other bench. My camera is not set up there. This fork is actually nice and clean inside. There's a new bushing already installed. So okay, this is for the other fork. Right. So now let us go ahead. I like to inspect these things before I reinstall them. There's a bit of degreaser for you. And so I'm going to see that water coming off of that is not clean at all. Let's just clean off all of this water. Just clean this bench. I told you, that's a messy story. Fork seals is like CB joints. It's messy. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how well you prepare, it's messy. Okay. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's nice and clean. The chamfer goes down. Okay. Good old Vaseline. I'm going to take this fork seal. I don't want any oil on it now. Now what I do with the Vaseline, you see this ridge inside here? That's like a little cavity it's got inside there. I'm gonna fill that cavity with Vaseline. It doesn't only make the installation process a bit easier, it also just helps the seal adapt to its new life and its new home. It will just make life a bit easier for the seal to settle in and get used to its new home. I'm also going, just to make sure, I just replace this bushing that wipe everything, but just to make sure that it's all nice and clean. Then on the inside here, I'm also going to smear some Vaseline in there. This is also going to help with the installation of the seal, but also it's going to help the seal to set into its new home and start to do a proper job. Then you can take the seal, press it in gently. Because it's full of Vaseline, it should go in fairly easily. Oh, maybe let me show you this as well. Yeah, it's basically in. You can see it's 95% in already, just by hand. So what you can do is take your old, very oily, messy and ugly seal, wipe it off. I'm going to give it some of my degreaser. If you follow my channel, you'll know what products I use. Just to get the seal. I don't want any of this old dirty oil, and maybe there's small pieces of rubber that are separated from this old seal. Don't want any of that in here. So what I'm going to do is, there's a new seal. I'm just going to place the old seal on top and press. You can also turn it around on a table surface. Just press it a bit, because if this thing, if you damage this surface, it's not going to damage or do anything to the new surface of the new seal. This is a throwaway seal, so that's 100% fine. Okay, here's our new dust cap, but before that can go on, we need to install this circlip. So I'm putting it in nice and slow. We want that click. It's not there yet. Not there yet. Let's get my bigger screwdriver. The Vaseline I have in here does not allow it to make a nice audible click, but it is in place. You can just double check that it's in place. I can take my rubber hammer, just lightly tap on it without coming close to the new seal. We don't want to damage the new seal. These things are expensive, guys. And this is a dirty job. You don't want to do it twice. in place. Right, you can take your new dust seal, grab a bit of that good old Vaseline, but this goes on very easily, so you don't have to put too much on here. Let me show you. This you can put on by hand. It just goes plunk and it's on. One light press. Show you. There you go. It's 100% seated. Now if this thing is dirty and grimy, let's give it a good old certified Jordan degreaser. And let's clean off all of this mess. Look at that. Hey, terrible. You're going to have to clean this at least twice. And for a third time, make sure that it's properly clean. Degreaser. Still feels clean, it looks clean. Wipe my hands. Perfectly clean toilet paper. Now, that's nice and clean. It's clean inside, cleaned over the edge. Use some Vaseline just to help it seal. And we can just shove it right over this entire thing. There you go. So now, this is ready to be properly cleaned. I want everything full of Vaseline. Now, what I want to show you this, let me put this aside and get that fork tube. Sure. Old fork oil everywhere. I'll clean this properly with my pressure washer before I reinstall it into the motorcycle. I'll have to because this is caked on here. For now, I just want the stanchion tube nice and clean without getting any degreaser into these holes, which ultimately is going to end up inside of the fork and break the oil down. That we don't want. But as you can see here, it's everything but clean. So we'll clean that off nicely with a pressure washer. But for now, I just want to make sure that the loose grime is off. Now, with these stanchions, there's always a bit more oil coming out of these holes. So to make sure they're nice and clean. Then an important step is to take a nice clean piece of rag or whatever you're using in your garage. See some more coming out. I just want to take this stanchion and inspect it. Yo, guys, yo. Yeah. Right there. It's a very ugly wear mark and I can feel it. I can feel it with my fingers. So most probably this fork is not going to seal as expected. But I'll inform the owner about this. Maybe this is no good. But anyway, look at this chamfer on this stanchion. This means that you can put on this fork, the leg, over this with a new seal without damaging the fork seal. Now, just to help it, we'll put a bit of Vaseline over here, just to help it a bit, but there's actually no reason to do that. Then we'll put these two pieces back on as they were. We can take this fork leg, feed it through, there it is. Now you can just take this. I'll wipe it down now. Just say, put back on there. Wipe all of this down nicely. Don't want any crusty bits or something like that inside here. Right. And put the top cap back. And I can lock it in the vise. But now, the only thing left for this fork is to add the oil. What I do is, now I can add the oil. I add 200 milliliters. Then I'll pump this entire section to bleed the air out. From there, I'll add 100 milliliter segments whilst pumping in between to make sure that it's, onto the right level and all the air is out. Then you can take this, move it up, tighten, done. Next fork. So guys, that's going to be it for the fork seal replacement on the Duke 390 forks. It's a very easy process, as I'm sure you'll agree. It is still messy, and sometimes you get unfortunate surprises such as this. That's quite deep, but that is the process. So I showed you the process, and I'm sure that anybody that has a 22 socket and a 19mm flat spanner will be able to do this job. Always remember, when you replace fork seals or do a fork oil service, loosen the top triple clamp, then loosen this cap before you loosen the bottom triple clamp. This is the fork oil that we're using, proper KTM stuff. All of this is supplied by the owner, original KTM equipment. We are not chipping out here. But yes guys, the damage on this fork leg, I think that's going to cause this fork to leak, unfortunately. But we'll see when we put it back in, and when the owner's son is starting to ride this thing, If it leaks, we'll have to replace the stanchion. Usually I also don't like to buy second-hand stanchions because most of the time they come off a bike that has been in a crash, and most of the time it's a frontal crash, which means these things are bent. Even if you can't see it's bent, it's most probably bent, and a kink in that thing will cause your seals to leak, and it will cause all of the stuff inside of this fork leg not to operate the way that it should. But I hope you enjoyed the video. A part of this video is also the engine rebuild, so I'm not too sure. We'll see, guys. It depends on when the parts are coming through. I'm still awaiting some piston rings and some other bits and bobs for the engine. If that takes too long, I'll make this video live, and then we'll just do a fork seal replacement video instead of a part 2 on the engine. Then I'll do that separately. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If this is the type of content that you like to see and view and watch, please subscribe and like the video. Subscribe to my channel. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a dime. And until we see you in the next one, peace out, guys.